Hey guys, it's Alex. Good to see you guys on. We are live and on the air. I saw you guys on the Facebook Live that we just did previously, so we'll wait a little bit as more people come on. But I need to know if you guys can hear me and hear me okay. And when we get some confirmation for some people, we will get started. So let me know if you can hear me okay. And then what I'm going to do is share my screen. As you're coming in, let me know where you're from as well. Okay. Yep, good. You hear me? Nice. You can hear me. We hear you loud and clear. Good. Can hear you loud and clear. Awesome. Tamitha, Elijah, Colin, Miguel, Tosh. I believe that's how you say your name. Toronto. Tampa, awesome. Philly, Denver, Omaha, sweet. Nice. All right, now I'm going to switch my screen and share it, and I want to see if you can see me doing that. What I'm going to show you is the project estimator. Again, this is just a test to see if we're sharing screens as well. Okay, so did you see that I switched to welcome? We'll get started shortly. Let me see here. I'm gonna look here. All right, cool. Very good. Long Island, New York, yes. PowerPoint is up, good. Try to hit the reconnect button at the bottom of your screen, see if that works. Okay, we're telling other people what they need to do. Okay, cool. Nice. Very good. Very good. Very good. Yes, I see the PowerPoint. Okay, good. Well, it's 9 o'clock. So I'm sure some more people will get on, but we will get started with what we have here. Guys, this is awesome because this is the first live webinar for Wholesaling Houses Full-Time, the Facebook group. I didn't put any other promotional emails or anything out, but only posted in the Facebook group. So this is special for you guys. So I really do appreciate you guys being here. And I am going to do my best to give you the best possible information that I possibly can. I am really looking forward to this. I'm going to go over the 9 different steps for virtual wholesaling and how you can use these steps to get started virtual wholesaling in any market across the country that you want. And that is the most important thing about this webinar, is that it really broadens the scope or the areas of where you can do business. Because if you understand the certain principles and you understand how things work, you can apply them and you can do deals anywhere across the country. That is what is just amazing about that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to mute the chat for now. And as some more people come on, I wanted to go over just to show you guys some different, a virtual deal that was done in one of my markets. Okay, so this is on Keswick Avenue. And the flip facts on this potential or on this deal, it's a closed deal, is right here on this slide. So the marketing, this postcard came from an equity list. So What that means is we pull the list from ListSource, which I'm going to show you shortly on how you can maximize that. But we pull the list with equity. We didn't pre-sort or try to sort out whether it was absentee, free and clear, whatever. We just went for equity. And this lady responded, and her motivation that it was an inherited property from her brother. So she was the only one that was inheriting the property, and the brother who was staying there trashed the place. So actually, no, she inherited it from her mom, and the brother that was staying there trashed the place. And she was out of the area. So she basically said she would take $40,000, I believe, over the phone. And we weren't able to lock it down. As you can see these numbers here, which are pretty amazing, is that we actually ended up getting it for 70 because we couldn't lock it down over the phone. So she went and shopped it to every other wholesaler in the area. So we got the deal finally after probably a few months for 70, and we wholesaled it for $15,000 assignment fee. We made $15,000. So the learning point on this deal was that you need to stay in the game. Very, very important, okay? Because if you don't follow up, then we would have missed it. But we followed up and we got the deal. So again, just wanted to give you guys some quick little case studies here to get started before we get into the actual webinar itself to see who else is going to come on the line here. So, all right, let's look at another one. This is another virtual deal, Mistywood Avenue, another one in a virtual market. Let's look at some facts here. Flip facts. Postcard, again, from an equity list. Again, seeing a little pattern there, right? The motivation, he was selling the house for his elderly mother. And this was another one where we were trying to lock this guy down over the phone. We couldn't do it right away and ended up having to have several different meeting times with him to get it done. My boots on the ground, that is. And we got it done. We got it done for $80,000 and ended up wholesaling it for $90,000. Now, what's the interesting tip about this one? Well, it's that follow-up texts work. So this guy called in, didn't leave a message when he listened to the to our recorded message. Didn't leave a message, and we had a virtual assistant text out, "Hey, saw that you called. Would you still be interested in selling your property?" And he responded to that, and we actually carried on a conversation via text. And that's how we got that deal and followed up until we finally got it to go. So that was a $10,000 spread. And again, from a equity list from the marketing. So, and you'll have to excuse me, my throat is a little bit sore, so I'll be drinking, sipping on some water throughout the webinar tonight. So let's get into the meat of it. So one thing with Webinar Jam is I have to disconnect the screen share, and then I have to reconnect it to switch back to a different screen. So don't mind the delay. I'm here. It's not disconnecting, so just keep that in mind as we proceed. All right. All right, so here's what this is all about. It's major market domination. This is about being able to go into any major market anywhere in the country and be able to go in there and dominate and make money. If you know these principles that we're about to go over tonight, you will be able to go into any major market in the country, implement these strategies, and be able to pull money out of that market. And we'll talk about the different ways you can do that, different funding strategies, assignment, double close, or buying and reclosing. And we'll talk about a little bit more about that. But let's get started. So in just the next 60 to 90 minutes, you're going to discover the brand new 9-step virtual wholesaling blueprint to pull $50,000 out of any major US market in 90 days or less without leaving the comfort of your home. And that's what it's all about, being able to do this from the comfort of your home. This is my reality, and I want to help you make it yours. So let's look at the different steps that we are going to go over here and how you can start implementing them right away. So number one, the first step that we need to go over is how to select the best city. I'm going to give you the top 9 cities right now for the hot markets in the country. Then we're going to go and we're going to locate the hottest cash buyer zip codes. So that way we're going to find the hot patterns of activity, and then we're going to be able to dive down into those areas, find out what's the best kind of deals that are selling, and then we can simply replicate a marketing campaign around those type properties. And what's pretty awesome about it as well is from that same exact list, we're going to be able to see what or who the biggest buyers, not just buyers, but whales are in that market. And once you know that, you have the tools and the recipe to make money in any major market across the country. So we're going to find the hottest cash buyer zip codes. And then we're going to discover the top 3 marketing channels, even if you have a tiny budget. So this is something that you can do on a smaller budget. It's not something where you're going to need big amounts of marketing money. We'll talk about how to find boots on the ground, people that you can trust to work this business with you. They are a key part, an integral part of the business working for you, because you are going to need good people in place. I always say good people and good systems are in place that allow me to be successful. We'll talk about how to make the offer and lock up the contract over the phone, and we'll give you the script and presentation for that. And then how to find the best title company that can close your deal. Then we'll talk about how to get a flood of buyers to buy your property ASAP. We'll figure out how to show the property and get the contract signed via the buyer. And we'll pick one of the 3 funding strategies to get your deal closed. And most importantly, get you paid, which is the whole point of doing this, right? So let's dive into it. Now, you're in my Facebook group. Chances are you know who I am. My name's Alex Joungblood, and this is my family, and this is my why. This is why I do what I do. I built a business that allows me to spend time with my family, with my beautiful wife and 4 small kids. That's what it's about. For me, it's not about making all millions and millions of dollars. It's about buying my time back, and that is exactly what you should be trying to do. Just like I talked about on the last Facebook Live I just did before we got on this webinar here. It's about buying your time back so you can spend time with your family. See, so this picture here was taken, my wife and I, on our 10th wedding anniversary, went to Turks and Caicos, which is a tropical island out in the Gulf. And it was just amazing. It was an all-inclusive resort. And while I was doing this, my business was still making me money. So this is my reality, and it can be yours too. Remember that. So my real estate investing operation has literally exploded into many different avenues and many different facets. Even as far as new construction, you can see these properties here are 2 different new construction properties that I subdivided, and I actually have 2 more down the street. So that area, I did a 4-house, simple, small subdivision. But it all started by learning how to wholesale. And wholesaling is the basis and the key to making other parts of real estate investing work, because then you will understand the value of understanding how cheap you can get a property and the bottom dollar of a property. You're not fighting on MLS with a whole bunch of people and having your property or having the property bid up with no chance of being able to get the deal. When you know how to do this, you'll be able to strategically market to get the best people to call you so that you can deal with the best motivated sellers and get those properties that most investors don't even know about. So that is the awesome thing. And my real estate investing operation, I've been in business about 15 years overall. We do several wholesale transactions a month. I've got 20 different houses, new construction and renovations that I'm working right now. And it's very active. But the cool thing about it is that I don't have to be very super involved. I have good people in the right places that allow the systems to work and allow me to have that free time to go out and spend time with my family. Just today, I was able to spend time with my wife. My in-law, my parents came into town, and I was able to take my wife on an overnight trip to the beach. And we were able to spend some time in the morning at the beach, and my business still rolled on. And again, that's my reality, and it can be yours too. You just have to get started and learning how to take strategic action. That's what this is all about. So some other companies, obviously, you know me from Wholesaling Houses Full Time, which is the most responsive and hottest Facebook group on Facebook regarding real estate wholesaling and real estate investing. It's awesome. And every one of you that are here are part of it, and you guys make it what it is. So I really appreciate you guys for doing that. 1-800-FAIR-OFFER. That's another brand I have. It's a national brand, a house buying brand that people, if they call 1-800-FAIR-OFFER, it will be routed to my company. And we have licensees across the country that use this brand, and it gives them a branded approach as opposed to the personal approach, which is not a bad thing, but it's always good to have both working for you. So I also have my brand, the Fair Cash Offer brand. And a lot of people ask me, why do you have all these different brands? Well, just simply put, there are billion-dollar companies out there that have different brands and different ways of marketing that reach different parts of the market. So like, for instance, you've got Honda, which is the marketing brand to a lower end class, good car, but lower end. And then you have Acura, and Acura is the higher end version of a Honda. So two different ways of marketing the same to maximize your marketing approach. I'm also involved with Velocity Capital, along with Sean Terry as my partner, and we do transactional funding and proof of funds and things like that. So that is Velocity Capital. I'm also involved with Joe McCall with Real Estate Investing Mastery Podcast, where we do podcasts and bring on experts in the industry, and we talk to them about their business and dive down deep into them. And that's been really fun for the last 10 years with that. So I'm sure you've heard me on there as well. All right. So I gave you some different wholesale transactions, but in the beginning of this, but let's take a look at another one, okay? This is an example of another wholesale transaction. In wholesaling, and the reason why you are going to get deals as cheaply as you are is because of distress. There's some kind of a distress that's going to allow you to get the property that you need to get it for. Now, that distress could be something as simple as a homeowner that doesn't want to fix up the property. It could be something as simple as an inherited property where an owner doesn't want to deal with fixing the property up and then trying to go through the process of selling with a realtor. Or it could be something as crazy as a divorce or a foreclosure or something along those lines. But either way, the distress in this situation is that the lady was downsizing. She was moving out, didn't want to fix it up. I got the property under contract for $140,000. Now, I'll tell you something interesting about this property, and just like I went through on those that last example, is that follow-up is so key. Because on this one, I followed up at the right time. I remember it was right before Christmas Eve, and I said, man, am I going to call this lady one more time? And we certainly did. And I'm glad I did, because she said, oh yeah, I called you. I got the postcard that you sent me again, and I called you, and I was waiting for the right place to send the paperwork. And I said, what? No, you didn't call me. The fact is, she called one of my competitors, and they were about to get the deal after all the work and the follow-up that I put into it, but I got her at the right time, completed the contract on $140,000, was overnighted to her. She overnighted it back, and I'd happened to know a investor that's heavily interested in that area. I could have bought this property. I could have renovated it, but I decided to assign my contract, and I made a $27,000 profit. So that is how that deal broke down. So remember, if you're in this game, you need to be following up with people. It's very, very important. All right, so what are some obstacles to virtual wholesaling? You may not know, well, actually, this would be the biggest one, lack of knowledge. People don't know that it can work or how it can work. It could be a belief system even that's holding you back. But the biggest thing is fear of the unknown, fear of not knowing what to do, right? What am I going to do? How am I going to find somebody that's going to work with me? Or how am I going to even talk to a seller when I'm all the way across the country and they're in their own local market? How in the world am I going to make that work, right? That's a fear that a lot of people have. And it's really a shift in your belief. And hopefully by the end of tonight, that'll be changed for you. Some other obstacles, having someone on the ground, right? How are you going to calculate repairs, take photos, show the property? We're going to go over that. Finding the best market. What if you have a tiny marketing budget? What if, how much do I spend to find a deal? How do I know where to market to, who to market to, what postcards to send them, what message, all those kinds of things. Those are all things that hold people back. We're going to go over that tonight. Funding. How do you get the deal to the closing table? How do you make money, right? Which is the purpose of why we do what we do. And we'll talk about the different types of funding strategies on getting your deal to the closing table so you can get paid. All right. Hopefully you guys are paying attention, because here comes step one. Step one here on the process of virtual wholesaling. All right. We need to select the best city, and there are some different ways that we can do that. And if you guys hold on to the end as well, I'm going to give you a website that you can use to find any market, any major market in the country, and break it down into detail on what's going in from employment rate to the foreclosure rate to mortgage origination. I mean, on a really scientific, granular level, which is really awesome. So I will give in that a little bit later on. All right. The rent to value ratio, also known as the cap rate. This is a way of being able to tell if a market is a hot market for investing. So this ratio takes the annual amount of rent received and is divided by the price paid for the property. So as an example, if a property is purchased for $100,000 and the monthly rent is $500, which is $6,000 annually, because 500 times 12 is $6,000, then the rent to value ratio is 6%. So we are looking for cities that have high rent to value ratios. We're also looking for cities that have a high appreciation. So appreciation is just simply an increase in the value of an asset over time. Cash buyer activity. We're looking for the cash sale percentage of all transactions in a given city. So rent to value ratio, appreciation, as well as cash buyer activity. These are the things that we're going to be looking at to narrow down where are the hot cities. But good news for you, I have the top 9. So if you're watching and you're paying attention, you can take these down and start looking at them. So look at this. Dallas-Fort Worth has a 10.85% rent to value ratio. So it's a really good market for renting in. So there will be buyers there that are what? Landlords, right? people that want to hold properties for long-term uh, income building, and that is done with rentals. And so Dallas is a great place for it. Appreciation, 8.69%, and cash buyer activity, 44%. So Dallas is a really, really good market for learning how to, or for targeting when it comes to virtual wholesaling. Look at Denver. It has a very low rent to value ratio, so low landlords, but we have cash buyer activity is high and appreciation is very high. Miami, okay, rent to value ratio, appreciation 10.43, and cash buyer activity out the wazoo at 59%. That is amazing. Houston, Atlanta, Tampa, Austin, Nashville. These are all great cities that you can check out. And if you know how to target these cities with strategic marketing, you can set up shop in a market at any time, which is pretty awesome, especially if you understand how to market the right way. All right. So say we were to pick a market here. The cool thing is that we can use a website called listsource.com and find the cash transactions over the last 6 months and pull out the top 10 cash buyer zip codes in any market across the country. So let's go back to our list here real quick. Let's look, let's say Houston, right? So let's do this. And I'm going to show you how you can do something for free with ListSource to identify the hot areas in any market across the country. You can use this to identify the hot areas in your own market, in your own area. So pay attention here. All right, so let's see here. We are going to switch. And remember, there will be a little delay when this thing kicks back on when I switch the screen. Whoa, all right, hold on a second here. Set up right. Source. Let's go ahead and dive into it. So we're going to log into ListSource. And for instance, let's go ahead and we are going to create our own list. And this is what we're going to do. And just okay, perfect, perfect. All right, so let's go in and build the list. I'm going to select a city. So we said we were going to do Houston, right? H. Let's add that. Wow, look at that. Lots of properties. All right, so let's go to property. And what we want to do is do properties in the last market sale date of, say, last 6 months. We will add that to the list. All right, and then let's go in here and make sure we're looking at the right type of properties. And let's look at some single families. We'll start with that. Remember, this is all free at this point. It's all free. Okay, property type, and then let's go with total assessed value. So, well, you know what? Let's do this. Let's go to properties with equity. Unknown, and then let's say from 50 to 100%. All righty. Let's go in here and do absentee owned. All right, because this is going to tell where the cash buyers are. And we want corporate owned properties as well. And we want property mailing address complete as well. And you have to play with this a little bit. So for instance, like if we were to take equity out of it, because we just want to see the cash where things are being bought, we could do that and see that narrow it down a little bit. So this is absentee. So let's go over here and go to purchase list. Now, we're not buying the list right now. But what we're going to do is we're going to come in here. I'm going to do a purchase partial list. And we're going to come in here and we're going to do a custom selection. And we're going to group properties by zip code. Watch what happens. See? It just grouped all the properties by zip code. So now I can come in here and I can see which properties or which zip, or I should say, sorry, what zip codes have the most activity. And if I was on a small marketing budget, I can simply go in here and pick one of these hot zip codes out. It's all right here, all perfect and easy to access. You see? So for instance, let's see. Let's look here. This 77008, 85 records there. 89 records there in 7709. You know, you're not going to market to this area that has 5 properties, or you're not going to market to this area that has 3. You know, here's one with 61. So you're going to find the top zip codes and you're going to market in there. And then you're going to build a list that targets exactly that. So let's see here. I'm going to show you. All right, I got to go here to find this. I'm going to show you my work. So let's do this. Let's pull this up here. Turn that screen share back on. New list, share. All right, look. Now, and I just went through and basically purchased this list at an earlier time. So now we can look at this here and we can see what's going on in this market. So, and this is a different market than Houston, actually. This is my local market. So let's go in here and do an auto fit column width. And let's do a sort by owner one label name. Perfect. Okay, so now I can simply look through here. You know, I can see here Casa de Bella. They bought some properties in the area. I can see Charles Schmidt bought some properties. I can see Diamond Investments. I can see Direct Resolution. See, so these are the bigwigs in the area. And the cool thing about this is, look, I can go through, let's see here. Let's see. Let's find a good one. Look at that, dwellings. Oh, look at this on Juniper Street. See, this is interesting. And you know why? Is because I actually have a lead on a Juniper Street. And they bought this property. And let's see what they bought it for. They bought it for 90 grand. Assessed at 173.6. So the cool thing about this is I can see what these people are buying and then simply go back and craft a campaign that would work towards that. Look at this. See, I can look and I can see 23513, 23513, 23513. Can you see a little bit of a pattern there of where those people like to buy? And these people are not just onesie twosie buyers. These people buy all the time. That is the awesome thing about this. You almost have like a market guidebook on where you're able to market and even down to what type of properties. Look, let me see. Let me go back to that one section. Under D. There we go. Go back here. And let's see. Let's take a look at what year built some of these properties were. See if that's in here in this list. See if I put a year built in here. Go like this, we'll highlight this, make it more readable, and then we'll go into layout and freeze the top row. Now you can see here. Let's see, property. There it is, year built. All right, so now we know AN is year built. So let's go back to them here. Let's go look at AN, column AN. There it is. We see 1950, 42, 40, 31, 52, 41, 32, 48, 55. Okay. These people buy properties based on this zip code. Okay. So this, these kind of year built right around that time. So this is just a small sampling of exactly how you can craft a campaign that meets what people are looking for or what the market is looking for. Because now I know that I can craft a campaign that works within these zip code or this year built even. If I targeted everything with equity within these year builts, I'm going to have something that's eventually going to be interesting to a deal that's going to be interesting to these kind of people. That is the magic of this, okay? So hopefully you guys see that and see the power in that. You know, here's another one, DSF development. You can see he's buying property there on Herbert, Texas. Go back in here in the zip codes. There you go, 23513, same zip code. So if you're targeting those zip codes and targeting equity, you are going to have a list that works really, really well. All right, let's go back to our presentation. All right. So step 2, we went through that and you saw exactly what you can do to track down the hottest zip codes and find the top 10 cash buyer zip codes. And I even gave you a little more information there on how to craft a campaign that would work really well in finding deals for that particular area. Even if you are all the way across the country in a different area altogether, you can make it work. All right. Top 3 marketing channels. This is what's working for me right now. PPC advertising. Pay-per-click is working really well in finding deals. Now, pay-per-click looks like, I'm sure you've seen Google, and you type into Google, sell my house fast, and then you simply can pop up for that certain term. I don't have a lot of time to go into pay-per-click advertising right now, but I'll tell you about it on the training that I have here. You can check that out if you're interested. But PPC advertising using Google AdWords and Bing, so you pop up and you are somebody is looking for you rather than you looking for them. That's what I'll say about PPC. The thing is, you can be trying to go after people with direct mail, but the difference with pay-per-click is that they are looking for you. So you're either looking for them or they're looking for you. That's basically the way that works. So it's a cool thing about PPC is because the tables are kind of shifted. It's like, if you've ever marketed with direct mail, they're like, well, you sent me the postcard, so you let me know what you think about what you want to pay. But when you do PPC, they come to you and you're the one that's in charge, right? You're the one that says, hey, how much do you want for the property? You found me online, so what's up? How can I help you? So it's kind of cool how that works, and PPC does work really, really well for us. You're going to spend some money with PPC though, so that's something to keep in mind. When it comes to strategic direct mail, okay, I went over a little bit there exactly how you could go about developing a campaign to target for direct mail. But let me show you here using that information that we just gleaned from Houston, how we could go about targeting a campaign that would work for that. So let's go back to ListSource here real quick. To ListSource. So let's say we wanted to take our zip code. Let's see, let's pick one. How about this one, 77033. Here's another thing to keep in mind. You may not want to go for the one with the largest amount of cash buyer activity because that's going to be the most competitive. So going for maybe something a little bit not as crazy. Let's see, how about 41, 77022. Let's take a look at that. So what we're going to do, 77022. Let me write that down so I don't forget it. Perfect. All right, so we're going to go back here and create a list this way. I'm going to do it by zip code. Seven 77022. And that. All right, now let's go in and remember what I showed you about going in and seeing what year built the property was and all that kind of stuff. That's called building the perfect property avatar. We didn't pull the Texas list right now, but just for the purpose of this video, let's go in and say that the year built was very similar to what we saw in Norfolk. So let's say 1930 to 1955. We looked at this one particular whale, but what you're going to do, and what I've got a training where I can show you exactly how to target all the whales in the area and build a campaign that fits that criteria. So let's look here. We got year built, and then let's go for equity. And I always say go for unknown. And I always say go for 50 to 100. Big tip of this webinar right here is if you're not targeting unknown, you are missing the boat. All right. So we did that. Let's go property type. And let's just say single family. And right now we have a list of 3,700 names that we can target in that particular zip code that's around a certain year built, that's around a certain property type, and that it has equity in it. And we could even scale it down further by going with square footage. But this right here would be a great list. You could even narrow it further down by going with absentee if you wanted to, or keeping it with no preference. We're excluding corporate owned, and we want mailing and property complete. This is a great list right here, and this is a way of using strategic direct mail. Now let me show you something else. Okay, here's something that you can use when it comes to sending out direct mail, because a lot of people are like, well, I don't know how to send postcards out, or I don't want to use click to mail, and I don't want to try to design postcards and all this kind of crazy stuff, right? Well, you can use this right here. It's called Go Big Printing, and part of the major market domination training is giving you access to our mail and the pieces that we use and all that kind of good stuff. But the cool thing about this is all these postcards are here for you to use, but you can also go in here and you can edit these letters to work with what you want them to say. You can go in here with postcards, we buy property or I buy houses, and you can come in here and they've got really cool handwritten verbiage on them that work really, really well. Look at these, we buy properties, you can use these. You can go in with some generic postcards. These work as well very nicely. You can come in here and you can customize it to say whatever you want and make it say. So again, very easy to use, and inside the major market domination training will give you access to our mail pieces and things that you can use, and simply go in, upload the list that you got from using what you learned in the training, or even using what you know now, and going in and developing a campaign and attacking, which is really, really awesome. So it's all right here. And you can access that with the major market domination training. All right, so strategic direct mail, that is how you target. Laser targeting, I just showed you exactly how to do it. If you do exactly that and use Go Big or use click to mail or even what you learn in the major market domination training, you will be successful. It's just not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Just remember that. Okay, free ways to find distressed sellers. You can use Zillow, okay? If you do not have any marketing money, you are going to have to invest your time. You can use Craigslist. You can use a software called IFTT. Let's take a look at that real quick. It stands for if this, then that. IFTT.com. All right. So that means you can use this to get Craigslist to automatically email you. Let's see here. I already have accounts set up. So let's say this right here. Okay. Now they want my password. Did they not like it? They don't like the password. Interesting. Oh, very interesting. Okay. Well, we're not going to log into my account, but let's go back here. What you can do is you can use this app to connect with Craigslist. You can use it to email you directly things. You make recipes, right? So you'll say, if this, then that. So if an ad from Craigslist says investor, then email it to this email address. And it will, I get leads like this on the daily every day from this service. And, you know, some are okay and some are absolute garbage, but hey, it's free, right? So you check out IFTT.com. I don't have a lot of time to go through these free methods, but obviously we have Zillow. So let's go in here and look at this. You can go in and let's say we know our zip code is hot, right? We know it's a hot area, 7022. We can come in here and we can narrow stuff down. We only want by owner. And we can look at pre-foreclosures and call it like that, right? So we have some houses that are on the market right now. Here's a pre-foreclosure auction. Cool thing you can do with pre-foreclosures is you can go out there. Again, remember, if you don't have the money to market, you're going to need some time. So you can go out there and you could even go out and knock on this door because sending letters to pre-foreclosures is a little bit hard. You could try to find their phone number, pick up the phone and call them. But Zillow is a way. This is a motivated lead. This person is ready to go to foreclosure, and it's right there at your fingertips. So that is a free way of finding deals. Let's see what else. Here's another one. Pre-foreclosure auction. Let me explain this, okay? So a pre-foreclosure is that this is not at the auction steps yet. Okay, that's key. It's not at the auction steps, which means these people are in a spot where it's about to go to foreclosure and they still have time to get out if a right deal is made. These can be some of the biggest deals, but you have to be willing to go out there and get in front of them. But again, that is a free way of finding deals. Another way of finding deals, you are a part of my Facebook group. You can simply post, does anybody have anything in this area? And you will have deals that show up. And what's awesome about that is that you can go in, and not everybody knows exactly how to do what I just showed you about pulling that list and seeing who the buyers are. You will now have properties that you could put under contract and flip that contract to those buyers if the other investor is not able to move it for some reason. So those are some free methods when it comes to finding deals. All right, step 4. We got to move a little quicker as time is ticking. Step 4, how to find someone you can trust to partner with. Let's look at this here. HUD Home Store. Okay, this is pretty cool, and this is something that you can do with in any area. Go to HUDHomestore.com, find a broker, and let's say we're looking at Houston. Let's use our zip code. Look at this. Right here are people that are willing and able to deal with distressed properties. They're dealing with properties that are in disrepair. They're dealing with properties that have already been foreclosed on. These people know how to go in and take pictures. They're in the real estate business, okay? These are great people to start with on the ground. Very good place to start. Now, the interesting thing about this is you don't want the person, you're going to call this office up, but you don't want the person that has been in the business a long time. You kind of want somebody that's new and is hungry, because that is going to be the best type of person to work with what you are trying to do. So you can use HUD Home Store to start with finding somebody on the ground. You can go to wholesaling houses full time. And if you have a property under contract, you can ask somebody in the group to partner up with them to get the deal to the closing table. And then Craigslist as well. It's not super hot, but it works. But HUD Home Store is good, and my Facebook group, which obviously you know because you're a part of this here. All right, so how do we make the offer and lock up the contract over the phone? Let's go ahead. Determine distress level. Let's back up. Let's pretend you did everything that I just said that you needed to do. You went into the to ListSource, you pulled a list that met the criteria of what you saw through your search, and you went and used the mail center to mail out some postcards, and now you got calls coming in. Now you're at the point where you've got phone calls coming in. And now this is where the rubber meets the road. So the first thing you need to do is you need to determine the distress level. And that you can do with a simple asking the right questions. Mr. Seller, I appreciate you calling. And then you're striking up a conversation that's very pleasant, very conversational. You want to get them talking about the house. So you'll be able to tell within the first few minutes, or sometimes the first few seconds, whether you have a real person or somebody that is unmotivated. So if they start telling you, oh yeah, the roof is new and the HVAC is new and the windows are new and we just redid the bathrooms, well, you want to get off the phone as fast as possible, because that is not somebody that has a high level of distress. That would be somebody that is a need to sell person. There's a difference between need to sell and want to sell. Need to sell, want to sell. We want to deal with the people that need to sell, not the people that want to sell. Those are the people that the realtors get to deal with. Need to sell people we will make the offer over the phone, and the want to, we can send them a presentation. Now, I've got a presentation within the major market domination training area that you can send to people that spells out exactly what we do and why they would want to deal with us or you. All right, let's look at an ultimate CRM to manage your entire business. Podio. You can use Podio, and it can be used on iPhone, Android. If you're not using Podio, you could be missing out on things. And we have in the major market domination training area a whole section devoted to using Podio and setting it up and using the app suite and all that good stuff. All right, how do we determine repairs? That's our next step. You can use WeGoLook, WeGoLook.com, to take pictures of the property. if you are not there or if you don't have a HUD person working with you, wegolook.com. You can have them take pictures of the property and they'll send them to you. A lot of times you can, if you don't use WeGoLook, you can find an appraiser on Craigslist. Appraisers are great for using, for going out and taking pictures and sending them to you because that's what they do for a living. So they're going to get you the right pictures, you know, the right different things like the HVAC, how old is it, the electrical panel, all that kind of stuff. All right, the repair formula multiplier. Let's look at this really quickly. This is a good way to get discounts on properties. All right, so this is a spreadsheet. It's in the major market domination training area, and you can use this to figure out what a property repair is going to cost. You know, we can't go through this whole thing right now, but let's say you need a exterior paint siding. Well, you can simply go in and you can figure out what the square footage of the property is, and you can multiply it times the square footage and say 1,500 times 1,500 square feet times 3,000 comes out to 6,000 to 7,000. That's a quick way of doing it. Also, another thing, okay, when dealing with properties and dealing with square footage, here's the most important thing. Let me back up 100%. Here's the most important thing. The repairs really do not matter. That sounds crazy, right? But the repairs only matter to the end buyer. Who's going to end up with the deal? That's who repairs matter, okay? So your idea, your situation is not to try to figure out every little possible thing that's possibly wrong with the property. You just want to get a general idea, and here's a simple way of doing it. Mr. Seller, does the property need a new roof? Yes or no? Do you need exterior painting? Do you need windows? Yard clean, landscape, plumbing, electrical, all those kind of things. If you get a property into a certain range of repairs that need to be made, you can take the square footage of the property. So let's say it's 1,000 square feet, and you can multiply it times $20 a square foot. That's $20,000 to fix. So if it's a complete junker, you could say $30 a square foot. So let's say a property is 2,000 square feet and you're going to use $30 a square foot. That means $60,000 is what it's going to take to fix up that property. You want to be able to get quick at doing that. Another way to do it is to look at the square footage average of what properties are selling for and then take that average. So let's say the wholesale side of things, properties are selling for, let's say $60 a square foot. Well, if you have a 1,000 square foot property, you know that $60,000 is a number that is desirable for the market. And then you know if you offer anything below that, that you'll most likely be safe. So again, we're not trying to nail things down 100%, but we're trying to get them in the ballpark. Because it is the end buyer that really matters in this situation. So let's see here. And we talked about the repair sheet. You guys. Companies. How do you find a good closing company? Well, any title company that's lined up with these right here, First American, Stewart Title, American Title, Fidelity, those are all title companies that we need to make sure the property has good title. A way I would recommend for finding a good title company that works with investors, go to the Facebook group. Go to the Facebook group, Wholesaling Houses Full Time, and say, hey, I'm looking for a title company in this area, and I'm sure you will get recommendations of companies that are helpful with working with investors. Okay, because you need a title company that is investor friendly, because they can blow up your deal if they don't know what they are doing. So make sure you have a good title company that you're working with, and you can do that by just simply asking for referrals. All right. Step 7, finding that cash buyer. Well, here's one thing that you can do. And I'm going to go with one of the biggest things here. Well, let's do this. You can see these are all cash buyers. Here's something that you can do that is really cool. And this is something you're going to think is pretty awesome, actually. So I'm going to copy and paste this address here. All right. Here's something that you need to check out. And depending on how I don't want to say how sneaky, but depending how brave you are with doing things, and this is something I've done actually quite often. Let's go here. Let's go in here and let's do a reverse search by address, additional way to search by address. Now, this is not free, by the way. Let's see. This one might not work because this is going back to a P.O. box. So let's go back to our list here real quick. A lot of this you can do is trial and error. Let's look at that other company. Actually, you know what? Let's not go the free route. Let's go the free route. Let's simply go aha. There you go. These are addresses that are pulling up for that potential buyer. And look at that. There is the phone number. So the free route sometimes is even better. There you can go. You can see it right there. That's that potential buyer that matches on our right here. That name matches on our spreadsheet. So we can simply pick up the phone and say, hey, I've got a property or a deal in this certain area. Would you be interested at this such and such a price? And what you can do is simply go in here and see exactly what this gentleman bought the property for. Let's see. Let's look for last market sale price. Last market sale price, where is it? Market sale date. You want to make sure your list has the owner transfer. Okay, well, sometimes the price comes in, sometimes it doesn't, depending on how they recorded it. But here you go. There's one bought for $90,000. So you know if you have a certain property that fits that criteria, and this guy is willing to pay $90,000 for one, that if you're somewhere at $80,000, he might be interested. So again, it's all about going back and looking at the data because the numbers do not lie, which is very, very important. Numbers don't lie. So let this list be your guide in finding cash buyers. You don't have to guess. You don't have to try to put out signs, well, obviously because you're not there, so you can't put out signs. Craigslist, hit and miss. But this right here will tell you exactly who the buyers are. So just use it. All right. You guys like this? Right? You can also, if you wanted to, use email syndication. There's a website, eCampaign Pro, that goes out to thousands of agents. With a click of a button, you can check that out. And your property will be out in front of a lot of people, a lot of agents. And then you just simply work with those agents to get your deal done. All right, so how do we get the property sold fast? We got the property under contract. We need to get our boots on the ground there because our agreement is going to allow us to inspect the property because we don't want to buy a property that we have not seen. It's always good to set a 30-minute window. And then, sending a buyer frenzy from afar, you can do that by trying to get as many people as you can at one time. This is kind of a point of difference. Sometimes you can work with one individual buyer and make him feel super important and make him feel like he's the only person there and you're the one you're gonna flip your contract to him, or you can make it feel like there's a bunch of people around. So, that's kind of up to you on that. But the key is work with your boots on the ground to help get somebody through that property. We'll talk about strategic ways to do that and how to do all that. So that is that. All right, getting paid. Let's talk about how we can get paid. Okay, number one, we can assign our contract, which means we're going to sell our contract. So when we have a contract between a homeowner, we can simply fill out an assignment of contract and sell our contract for $5, $10, $15, $20, $50,000 if the property warrants it. That is the first way of doing it. And this way you do not have to show up to closing to sign anything because you are simply signing a contract beforehand, the assignment of contract that transfers your interest to the buyer, to the investor who is going to buy the property. Double escrow, using the buyer's funds. So that means you are arranging a closing, and you need to make sure 100% that you check with the laws or talk to an attorney in your area regarding this type of closing. But you will use the cash from the first transaction that the buyer brings to closing to close your side of the transaction, and you get a check in the middle. Okay, we can talk more about that in the major market domination training, but that is how double escrow works. Or you can use transactional funding, like with Velocity Capital. Transactional funding is 100% no credit bridge loan. So it's all based on the property. It's not based on you or your credit, whether you have bankruptcy, foreclosure, whatever it is. It's all based on the property itself. And I've done some transactional deals with Velocity in which the buyer will fund first, and then Velocity puts up the money, and the deal closes on the same day, and Velocity gets a fee, and you get your money in between, and the buyer gets the property, seller gets their money, and everybody is happy. It works out great. So those are the different funding strategies. All right, so we've covered a lot of information, all the way from the point of choosing a market, getting down to the point of getting paid. It's been a lot over the last hour and 15 minutes. And there's, frankly, a lot of information here for you to try to digest in one sitting. So let's talk about this a little bit more. And what I've talked about before is getting that mind shift correct. Getting your mindset where it needs to be so this can be your reality. I showed pictures of me and my family walking on the beach. I did a deal recently, or I should say, I was on vacation in Florida with my family in winter, and we were at Disney World, right? So imagine you were able to do this. Imagine you were able to make this business from anywhere in the world, even on vacation. You're on vacation and you're closing deals and you're making things happen and you're enjoying life. Imagine that is your reality. Remember to keep in mind, I'm going to give you a website at the end of this presentation which will show you how to find any market in the country and get all the nitty-gritty details about it, so it'll further help you choose where you want to go. But imagine this is your reality. Imagine being able to get up and leave whenever you want because you control your own financial destiny. You are financially independent. You are now in a position to where you call the shots. Just imagine if that was your reality. Imagine you could do this from home. I'm sitting in my home office right now, and this is where I operate my business out of. I don't have an office outside of my house. Everything I do is virtual from that standpoint. Imagine you got up, you spent some time with your wife, and if you have kids or your husband, and you basically controlled your own schedule. You know, a lot of people, they roll out of bed and they stumble off to work and life takes them away and the phone rings and they get pulled by which way the phone goes. And before they know it, they stumble back in the door and they're tired and they go to bed and they do it all over again. But imagine if you were able to control that destiny for yourself to where that was no longer the case and you were able to control exactly how your life worked and you were able to go where you wanted to go and not have a boss that you had to listen to or answer to. That can be your reality. Imagine that you could find any country all throughout the USA or any state, sorry, or from any country for that matter, and you were able to do this business and expand your market and scale it to where you wanted to go because you're able to take these principles and implement them in any market across the country and scale it and not have to worry about going deep into a market and starting to lose your profitability because you are trying to find all these different marketing channels when all you had to do is take these principles and implement them anywhere you wanted, anywhere in the country, anytime you wanted. All right. Here is a virtual transaction that was done. I actually did a Facebook Live on this with my boots on the ground on this one the other day. You might have been on it. But the distress of this property was that the seller needed cash. They needed cash. They just wanted to get rid of the property. It needed work, and they just wanted to move on without having to make any repairs or deal with any of the baloney that goes along with that. The contract price on this property was $175. We sold it for $305. Okay, so this one, we actually took the property down, meaning we got a loan on the property, a private loan, private money, and now we own the property. And then we listed it on the MLS and we sold it. So basically a wholesale. So the difference with everything was over $100,000 in profit, which is awesome. It's a life-changing deal. And that is what you're trying to do. You're trying to put yourself into a position where you can have life-changing deals, because one deal will change your mind into believing that this is a reality. And that one deal will set you on the path to success, and you'll start seeing patterns of success and make it your reality. Be like Clive. Now, Sean Terry is who I partnered with on the major market domination training. And Sean Terry has agreed to work with me with the training. So Clive from New Zealand had a check here for $8,500. He is in New Zealand, and he is doing deals here in the USA and Florida, and $8,500, which is absolutely awesome. Mike Webb did a deal for not a huge deal, but he made $8,000 on his first virtual deal. Boom. Jeffrey Shane had a huge deal, $153,333.40. First virtual HUD flip. Thank you, and all the encouragement from all the investors who keep saying, don't stop. I can now post my first profit, all because I didn't stop. Used Velocity Capital for transactional funding. So I'm loving real estate, hot off the incoming wire. Purchased 241, sold 420. Seller moved out of state, negotiated the price, and handled the payments until sold. House needed only $938 in work, made one payment, sold in 42 days. That is amazing. Here's another recent transaction, virtual transaction that was done. This was done a few years ago, actually. But the seller needed cash, distressed situation. Purchase price was $100,000. Sold property for $200,000 and walked away with a profit of over $100,000. Again, I never met the seller. I never met the buyer. I never even saw the property. This was in North Carolina. I've never even been to Raleigh, but this deal happened, and it was an awesome deal. And again, this is my reality, and it can be yours as well. So how would you like me to personally walk you through the 9-step virtual wholesaling blueprint to pull $50,000 out of any major U.S. market? The major market domination training is there and available for you. And it's ready if you are ready to take that step. Let's look at week 1. Step 1 through 3. We're going to look at how to find a super hot city. We looked at that tonight. You can take that information that you just received tonight and use it. But we are going to deep dive into how to find a super hot city. And then we'll talk about locating the top buyer zip codes, just like we talked about, and go into detail on finding the perfect property avatar, building that perfect property avatar, and making it so it's a property, or making a property avatar that you can target with your marketing, so that you don't waste money. Sometimes you feel like you're wasting money spending on marketing that just doesn't seem to work. Well, 98% of people don't want to hear from you. So you really need to hone it in and target on the perfect property avatar, and we'll go exactly in detail on how to make that work. We'll talk about how to set up the top 3 marketing campaigns like we talked about tonight. We'll talk about how to set up your website, how to set up Google AdWords in detail, how to generate the perfect mailing list, and how to pick the right mail piece, and how to set up your free lead generation systems like the IFTT like I showed you tonight. We'll go in detail on how to set that up and get that working so you can start getting leads right away. Step 4 and 5 in week 2, we'll talk about how to find someone you trust on the ground and how to structure the right deal, how to make offers over the phone, and how to use the sellers that need to sell, or what script to use with the sellers that need to sell. So we'll talk about how to work that script and work the repairs, and what to send sellers that just want to sell. So that way you have something to send them directly without just saying, this isn't going to work and just pushing them off to the side. This follow-up is very important, just like I showed you in the previous slides before we started. So we'll talk about how to follow up and get that deal signed. We'll talk about how to find that right closing company, how to get floods of buyers to your property, and how to show the property and get buyers to commit to purchase. And once you get the property closed, for those 3 different funding strategies that we talked about. We'll go in week 4, we'll talk about some detailed case studies about virtual deals. Listen to different students that have worked this system and the case studies from that. And we'll have full question and answer to all your questions after every call. So this major market domination is a $15.97 value flipwithalex.com if you're interested, but it's not $15.97 tonight because you guys are in my Facebook group and I've got some extra bonuses that I'm going to be giving you. Flipwithalex.com. If you're interested, go check it out. It's pretty amazing. So I'm going to offer 5 massive bonuses if you are in tonight. Number one, we're going to offer access to 100% financing with Velocity Capital. So if you have a deal with A to B transaction and a B to C, meaning A to B, you have the deal on contract, and B to C, meaning the deal is already contracted with another buyer, I will get that deal funded for you, and it's 100% financing, and it will be done. $997 value for that. You can market your properties to my nationwide cash buyer email list. You got a property and you want me to market that property to people that I know, investors. I've got a list that's all across the country. I don't have a problem doing that. That's a huge value. You can connect with other members in a private members only Facebook group. $19.97 value of all the people that are implementing major market domination. So let's recap what you get tonight. Major market domination training, $15.97. Access to 100% financing and the POFs, $9.97. Bonus, the JV to sell to the national buyers list, $49.97. So between myself and Sean Terry, we have lists that is over 200,000 people, investors in every state in the country. And then a private only Facebook group. Flipwithalex.com. That's a $95.88 value. Flipwithalex.com. Check it out. Flipwithalex.com. You'd be like Glenn from Facebook. First virtual wholesaling check from a deal completed about 3 weeks. Resides in Dallas, Texas. Flipped a HUD house in Pittsburgh. So he's in Dallas, but flipped a house in Pittsburgh. Feels great proving that I can successfully flip a house 1,200 miles away without ever visiting the property, without ever visiting the city, and without ever meeting the buyer. Made $14,546 in my first 3 weeks. Awesome. Bonus 4, you'll get to download my huge vault of forms and contracts. So that means you will have access to residential purchase contract when buying, residential purchase contract when selling, assignment of contract, option agreement with seller, 15-day flex option, authorization to release information, wholesale property analyst form, as well as buyer lead scripts, seller lead scripts, weekly activity log, and monthly activity log. All there for you to download and use, all there in the major market domination training area. Remember, flipwithalex.com, flipwithalex.com. So that also includes marketing to income analyzer, lead to income tracker, lead to income projection worksheet, wholesale offer generator, so you'll know exactly what to offer on a property by using a simple but powerful tool, and a residential fix and flip deal analyzer, so you'll know the exact cost and profit on any potential fix and flip. It's all there in the members area, and you can take advantage of that today. So let's look at what you get. You get major market domination, $15.97 value. Access to 100% financing and the POFs, $9.97 value. The JV to our national buyers list, that's $49.97, but that's priceless. Access private members only Facebook group, $19.97. Download my huge vault of forms and contracts, $4.97. And download the most cutting edge spreadsheets, $4.97. That's a $10,582 value. Flipwithalex.com. Check it out. And if you stay on to the end, I'm also going to throw in another bonus on this to help you with your virtual business, because I realize a lot of you obviously are in my Facebook group already. So I'm going to give you access to something else that's really, really cool if you take action tonight. So how much time and money could you lose on this if you tried to go it on your own? If you were out there testing marketing campaigns, not knowing what to say to a seller, spending thousands on a marketing campaign hoping that it will work, right? That can cost you thousands of dollars. Believe me, I know, I've been there. What if you don't know what to offer and how to calculate repairs? What if you're not selling for the highest price possible? These are all things that can cost you a lot of money in the long run. And these are things that we can help you avoid with major market domination. So very, very powerful to have somebody in your corner that knows how this game works and how you can start capitalizing on your market today. You could be being unorganized and losing out on deals. You could be trusting the wrong people, structuring the wrong deal. You could be valuing the property wrong. You could not knowing how to get paid, funding. There's a lot of things that can happen if you don't know what you are doing. So there's nothing more expensive than a missed opportunity. Nothing more expensive than a missed opportunity. You can lose thousands. But if you use the training that I'm offering here, that will put you in a position to where you will be able to capitalize on any major market in the country by using the principles and the steps that are laid out. So what is the total investment after this promo is complete? It goes up to $15.97 one time. But today, class starts today. You can download and get started. Flipwithalex.com. Flipwithalex.com. One-time investment of $4.97. Flipwithalex.com. Class starts today. You're in, you can download, you get started right away. So what if this? What if you were able to control your own destiny? What if you were in a position to where you had the freedom to do whatever you wanted, however you wanted, and for however long you wanted? What if you bought that back by starting to learn this business and learn that all it takes is one deal? What if you were in that position to where you can control your own destiny? It is a reality. It is something that you can do. So it's a total investment of $4.97 one time. Flipwithalex.com. Flipwithalex.com. So I have a 100% money back guarantee here. If you try the system for 60 days, 100% satisfied, no questions, no hassle, refund. If you're not 100% happy, you get your money back. So the risk is on me. If you follow the system exactly and don't make 3 times your money back in the first 60 days, we'll refund your money. And if you feel that this is not the most incredible opportunity you've ever seen in the first 60 days, we'll refund every dime. 60-day money back guarantee. So it's $4.97 one time. Flipwithalex.com. That's flipwithalex.com. I'm going to be getting to your questions here shortly regarding the program. So let's recap what you get. Major market domination, the bonus one, access to 100% financing and unlimited POFs, JV sell to the national buyers list, the private Facebook group, the huge vault of forms and contracts, as well as the most cutting edge spreadsheets at $10,582 value. Flipwithalex.com. Flipwithalex.com, and you can get it all for just $4.97. Okay? Here is the unannounced bonus that I'm going to give you, okay? If you invest tonight and only tonight, I will give you access to my virtual assistant training program, okay? That's a $197 value. If you invest in major market domination tonight, you will have access to my virtual assistant training program. So if you really want to take your virtual business to the next level, using and working with virtual assistants is huge, is key. You need to learn how to go about doing that. All right, let's see. I'm looking at creating an offer here so you can, we will just, all right, we'll just go back here to the chat. All right, let's go back to the chat. But yeah, if you invest today, you will get access to the virtual assistant training program, 197 value with everything else today. All right, so I'm going to unmute the chat here. The chat is unmuted, guys. If you have any questions regarding the program or you have questions regarding wholesaling in general, let me know. Chat is unmuted. You can ask questions if you are there and are still listening and have questions. I will wait here for you guys for a little bit. Check out flipwithalex.com, and that's where you can get set up with Major Market Domination and get that set up, as well as get access to the virtual assistant. Okay, you mentioned you would share how do you arrange showing property without alerting the seller. Okay, alerting the seller is not a problem, okay? Because a lot of times we may need to get them involved. So the key there is that you're going to be honest. You're going to say, this is my person on the ground that I work with, and they are going to be there to help arrange access to the property so that we can see everything that we need to see. So it's not a big deal. When getting boots you trust, what are you offering to compensate with them? All right, that is a good question. A lot of people do 50-50, and you can do 50-50. But I happen to believe this, okay? So there are like 3 parts to a deal. Marketing to get a deal. There is negotiating with the seller and getting the contract. And then there's the moving of the deal. They're all 33%, I would say. So 33% is kind of a good number, I would say, but everything's negotiable, you know? So how do you make sure your boots on the ground don't steal your leads? Because they will never, ever, ever get another lead ever again from me if they do. You know, you can't stop bad people from doing bad things, but I can definitely do exactly that, is not give them a deal ever again if that was the case. So flipwithalex.com if you are interested in the Major Market Domination. Major Market Domination, a hand-in-hand walk-through program. It's not a one-on-one coaching, but it is a members area where we have all the trainings that are recorded, and that is there for you to go through at your leisure. But if you have any questions and things like that, you can always message support based on that. You can always message me in the Facebook group as well. It's not a one-on-one program, but it's a training that breaks down everything that I just went over tonight in detail. And Sean Terry is who I partnered with on it, and he's a great trainer when it comes to real estate. How do you face a pre-foreclosure by door knocking? What is the first you say? That is a good question as well. So people who are in pre-foreclosure are in a motivated situation for sure. And they are kind of in denial. So one thing you might say is, hey, I was just checking around in this neighborhood looking for houses to buy. I was down at the courthouse and noticed you could potentially be having some trouble with your mortgage company. I'm looking to buy houses. Would this be a house you'd be looking to sell? And see what they say. You know, that's a quick one-liner that you can use. flipwithalex.com. All right, well, I see a few people here have come through, so that's really cool. That's great. Look forward to working with you guys. You have any other questions? Any other questions regarding virtual wholesaling or the major market domination program? Remember, tonight and tonight only, if you get major market domination, you will have access to my virtual assistant training program as well. After today, can I still buy the program for the same price? Well, you can message me on Facebook if you want, but the special tonight is the special because I'm the website for market analysis. Very good. All right, let me get that for you. Let's look at that really quick. All right, let's go here. All right, mgic.com. We are going to go to underwriting and then market trend analysis. And then we can go here and look at a complete market trend report. And it is updated on a quarterly, monthly basis as well. Yeah, see for July. So you go in here and it's based on unemployment, housing affordability, home price changes. I mean, this is really cool because this is based on what private mortgage insurance lenders base their rates on, based on risk. So this gives you a solid look at the economy. See, here's a national look. Let's see, we'll scroll down here. Let's see, okay, Springfield, Massachusetts, housing affordability, existing home sales, income trend. I mean, it's all here. Gives you really, helps you make really strategic decisions on picking a market. So that is that at mgic.com. So check that out. And I appreciate it, Ryan. Thanks for sharing your time with me too. And yeah, it is. It's always anytime I can share something with you guys is amazing. I really appreciate being in the spot that I am, being able to share on Facebook and all that kind of good stuff. So, Shyla, do I offer one-on-one coaching? Message me on Facebook about one-on-one coaching if you're interested. But the reason for this call tonight is about major market domination training program, which you can use to start. You can use this information I give you tonight to start doing deals anywhere. What people are doing with it. So Alex.com, I can message that in there. Alex.com. Or let's see, maybe like this. There we go. Flipwithalex.com. Any more questions about major market domination or the program itself? Let me know. The website will be live tonight, flipwithalex.com. And look forward to working with you guys. Like I said, it's a great training program laid out by myself and Sean Terry. And it's got some great information in depth. Hours and hours of content that you can get started immediately today. So, all right, guys, I am going to cut it off here. If you don't have any more questions, I appreciate you guys being here and the kind words. And hopefully you can take this information just from this webinar alone and go out and make some money with it. All right, guys, I'll see you in the Facebook group. Take care.